him a signed copy of One Stormy Night. Oh, yeah, Bunny and I, we got to talking, and, she told me that it has done wonders for her sex life. And you know what? In addition to that,
So this really cracked me up out of everything today with Susan talking about how she's been talking to Bonnie and how the book that Stephanie wrote helped, revitalize her sex life. And you should see the face that EJ was making. Was mortified. He didn't want to hear none of that. He doesn't want to hear about Bonnie or his own mom and his stepfather getting it on. It was just a gag for him at this point. It was the most hilarious thing, and I do really care for Susan and her antics, but this was a very funny scene in today's episode. Now it's still going on with Valentine's Day. I don't know if it's a running theme with days where they keep on having the holiday episodes for like 3 days, 4 days at a time, but it's ongoing Valentine's Day in Salem. So EJ doesn't have a Valentine. He doesn't have nothing going on for him, so it's pretty miserable, and she was just hoping that it would have turned out different for him. They talk a little bit about Stefan on how, he thought that he was evil because, he gave her a Valentine's gift, and, he said he thought he was an evil son, and she said, no, you just have the essence of Stefan on you, but doesn't mean you're all 100% evil. You do have a little bit of me in there, and that was really, they didn't really have much of a conversation. So Gabby and Stefan are in Miami, and Gabby's not really in the best of moods because of the news that she heard about her husband and the fact that he was held against his own will by his own mother. And Philip is trying to, get her to be excited. He's telling her about the hotel itinerary, but she's been nonchalant, and he asks her, hey, what's going on? So she tells him exactly what happened, and he can't believe that Vivian would stoop this low, but then again, he knows how his, donor mother was, right? So anyways, he's asking her, like, how can I make this better for you? Because at this point, she is just, reminiscing about the fact that Stefan was held against his own will. He was coming back to her. They probably weren't really divorced if, the divorce decree was a fraud and Vivian was the one who signed it. So technically, she could be a widow. So it's a lot of unresolved feelings, but at the end of the day, Philip was able to just be there for her, support her, hold her, and he was saying cancel all the plans, let's just lay in tonight. And she said, no, you know what, let's go up, we have a dinner reservation, let's do that, let's go lie down at the beach under the stars. You are my present, and I need to just have the past in the rearview mirror. But we all know this very beautiful relationship, or what could be, is going to be ruined because I believe Stefan is not dead. He's alive somewhere. He's probably been held captive by his mom or somebody else, but I don't believe for one sec he is dead, and he's gonna just either come back and ruin this relationship, or Gabby's gonna ruin this relationship by this secret that she's been keeping from him, and it's gonna sabotage what could be a really beautiful, long-lasting relationship. I'm just really upset by that. Now I wish they would stop putting Brady and Sarah in our faces. Like, which writer is coming up with these couplings? Because it's not appealing to the viewers one bit. They are more like brother and sister, best friends, more than romantic interest or lovers at this point, because it's not giving. It was really boring to watch them. They don't really have no chemistry, no nothing at all. But anyways, Brady tells Sarah how he really feels. He was gonna get her flowers, but then he decided against it because he didn't want to just jump in without really telling Sarah how he feels. He has feelings for her, and he wants to spend Valentine's with her ad nauseum. And she's saying, what's really stopping you? He said that he's a little bit scared about what could happen. They're really good friends, and he doesn't want their friendship to be ruined if this doesn't work out. And she said, how about we make the pact that regardless of what happens with us romantically, it will not affect our friendship, and they'll keep it on the down low, and they will really just see where it goes. But he said, you know what, if we do go further, I don't want to keep it on down low. I'm going to tell Rachel what it is and sit her down and tell her that this may be something, right? This is going somewhere. So they talk about places where they want to spend Valentine's because the pub isn't it. And, they're thinking about running into Kristen and Rachel at this boba place. And they said, it's not even about Kristen. It's just, maybe they don't want to, jinx it much. But at some point, they agree on a place. I think Sarah said she was going to bring the baby back to the nanny and they would meet up. He kisses her outside of the pub and, nothing much to report where. Now, another bad idea for coupling on this episode or on this soap in general is really Chad and Belle, because why would they put these two together or try to put them on a date together? Because for one thing, Belle was just in a relationship with his big brother EJ and they just look more like brother and sister, and I just don't see any chemistry between them. It is just dry like the desert, just like Brady and Sarah. But again, we have to be suffocated by this whole idea, this whole scene. So Chad comes over. He tells her that he's going to Arizona with Will and Sonny. He's going to visit them. He's going to bring his kids there just to get away for a bit. But he apologizes for not really showing up for the date that they had. And she understands they're both busy. And he said, why don't I make it up to you right now? I see that you're eating this disgusting frozen dinner. Let's go out somewhere. And she said, I can't really have work. And he said, work on the holiday. So he said, all right, race me to the door. We're going out. So they agreed to go out. And, they meet up with EJ, which is kind of slightly awkward, but it still proceeds, right? So EJ asks him, hey, I heard from Tony that you're leaving. Why you didn't tell your big brother that you're leaving town? He said it's not really for a long time. We're just going to be in and out. So before they could even go further in the conversation, he does ask them, what is this going on? What are you guys up to? Let's, share, me and you can share a celebratory drink or a farewell drink. And he said that would be nice, but I already have plans. I'm on a date with Belle. And he's like, oh. So at some point, Leo catches up with Chad, and Leo also said that he got a text message and he's like, you're leaving? So he explains to him what's going on and he said that he needs to hold on for it. So Leo said, okay, but I do have a big story working on. I can't tell you all the details, but just letting you know that it is a big story. So he says, as long as you get it done and if you need any help, let me know, right? So EJ also speaks to Belle, and Belle said that she heard about the memorial for his father, and she tells him how sorry she is about his passing, and he appreciates that, and he said, I hope you enjoy your day, and he leaves, right? Poor EJ, left, right, and center. Everybody else is getting on dates and enjoying themselves, and he's just there, miserable. Now, Leo and Dimitri. Dimitri is on house arrest. He has on the ankle monitor, and Leo is agreeing to help him despite whatever has happened between them. He is willing to help him find out why has he been arrested. He's here to prove his innocence. So they're trying to, think of a location to meet up where there's no prying eyes or ears. And they thought about the Demir mansion, but then Gwen and EJ is there. So they thought about his room and he says it's probably too intimate. So they didn't find nowhere. So they just, he just agrees to bring him back to his place. So he tells him to sit on the chair or stand up, whatever, but not on his bed. So he sits down and then they start to put pieces together about maybe Gwen's involvement. Maybe Gwen is working with Vivian because Vivian doesn't like the Demirs or the Von Leuchters. So it would make sense. And Gwen does not like Dimitri neither, Leo, so she would want them to suffer. And it would make sense that Gwen would held him captive and then bring him here, leave his belongings in Alemania, and bring him here to ruin Leo and have his wedding. Now, they're trying to, find some solid proof and work together, and Dimitri's thinking to go to Alemania. They're thinking how to get his ankle monitor off without the FBI knowing. So Leo said that he will brainstorm and think about it on his own, and he tells Dimitri to just go home and not tell nobody nothing, keep it on the down low for now. Dimitri comes home and sees EJ and he's like, just like the Phoenix, I'm going to rise back again. Right? Because EJ was surprised to even see him home. Now, I don't know. Let's see how this really works out. Because as much as, Dimitri did that to Gwen, what he's going through is not really fair. Now, Xander and Gwen, I don't know. I lived for this scene. I really like them together. I like the chemistry that he have versus him and Sarah. Gwen does not judge him for who he really is, flaws and all, right? But I can understand that, to some viewers they can be toxic, and she does not really elevate him much. But I don't know, I like them together. So anyways, they were on the golfing court, and Gwen was showing him some moves because he's terrible on the golfing course. And some point they talk about relieving the tension, and she was saying at first, the last time they tried to do that, he's trying to remain loyal to Sarah, but now that they're estranged or they're divorced, maybe they should try that again. And Xander is saying the same thing. He does love Sarah, but he has needs, he has urges, so they decide to ride back on the golf court together and go back to the Mary mansion. They're drinking and they end up kissing, and Susan comes in. Susan's like, why would you bring this man back in here? So remember that Xander and Susan go way back because Xander did have her locked up in a shed, so she doesn't really care for Xander. So Gwen got rid of her, and Gwen told him that she's gonna tell EJ to have her evicted because of that. But I'm saying, Susan, you should not care what happens under here. It's not your house, and Gwen has a life to why do you care that much, right? You're not around the man 100%. So anyway, she and Xander are going up to her room. She sees EJ, she's like, hi EJ, bye EJ, and EJ's like, really? I'm not getting nothing on Valentine's Day. That feels so bad for him. Somebody, hurry up and give him a love interest. Maybe Kat needs to come over already, at least earlier, because, oh gosh, EJ is suffering over there. But anyways, guys, comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Don't forget to like or subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.